Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and I'm a couple days late with this recap of Star Trek Discovery, but in my defense, there's just been so much going on this weekend, so many things to review, so many things to watch, and I've gotten a little behind, so I'm trying to play catch up on everything. So this episode starts out with a fourth signal appearing over the Klingon planet of Borith, which we as viewers know that this is where the son of Ash and Laurel has been sent to, where the monastery was. This is also apparently where some of the time crystals are being harvested from. They do mention that earlier in it, in the series about the time crystals being very rare, but apparently this is where they originate from. Ash ends up telling Burnham that Borith is the home of his son, and he explains everything about how his son ended up being there. As he's explaining this to Burnham, he gets a signal from Section 31 saying that one of the ships has not checked in yet. Burnham thinks that this is no mistake because, Control has taken control of Leland and it makes no mistakes, so she wants to check it out. Laurel arrives on the Discovery and she ends up disclosing to Pike that she and Ash have a son who is there at the monastery. She also tells him that in addition to this being a monastery, this is where the time crystals have been housed. And of course, Ash wants to go down there, and Laurel tells him it's impossible. They cannot, the Klingon Empire cannot find out that their son is alive or that Volk is alive. And so Pike ends up volunteering to go down there. Laurel kind of warns him at first, saying that it's the time crystals are not something to be messed with, and it could end up being a really big sacrifice having to be made. And Pike says there's no alternative, so he's going to go down there. Pike goes down to the monastery and makes a plea to do an exchange so he can get one of the time crystals. Therefore, they can try to get the sphere information sent far into the future where Control can't reach it. As Pike goes deeper into the monastery, it's revealed to him that the man he's speaking with is actually Ash and Laurel's son. The reason being that he is the age he is now is that because of the time crystals in this location, time really doesn't, it flows differently. It doesn't work like it's supposed to, so that way this man, who was mere months ago an infant, is now a full adult male, and it's because of all this that all these strange things happen in this monastery. Burnham and Spock end up taking a shuttle to the place where the last Section 31 ship hadn't made its rendezvous point, and they end up kind of going into basically a graveyard. Pretty much everybody on the ship had been ejected into space. They do end up finding one life sign, and they beam this person on board. It appears to be someone that Burnham knew that she served with on the Shenzhou, and they kind of revived this person to find out what was going on. Now, of course, I was obviously a little skeptical about the fact that only one person survived, and it just so happens to be someone that Burnham served with before, but they don't really take this into account. They end up having to go back over to the Section 31 ship to try and figure out what exactly happened. Back on Borith, Pike reaches the time crystals, and when he goes to grab for one, he does have a warning from this, Ash and Laurel's son, saying that, you will see a future whenever he touches the crystal. He makes the choice to do it, and Pike ends up seeing his future. We see the accident that eventually befalls him, and we see him, it's a horrible vision of the future, and we see what eventually is going to lead him back to Talos 4. Ash and Laurel's son tells Pike that in order to take this crystal, he is basically cementing his future. There is no turning back. If he takes this crystal, what he saw will happen. There's no way of getting around this. And Pike, being the amazing captain that he is, decides that, this is for the greater good. He's got to do it. And so, therefore, he takes the crystal. On board the Section 31 ship, Burnham and the person that she used to serve with, they're kind of working on something, and the other guy's talking, And Burnham kind of figures out that this isn't who she thought it was, which big surprise there. But it turns out this is another uh, reanimated body that Control has taken over using nanites, and Spock is trying to get back down there to them, but Burnham, it's pretty much too late at this point, and Control tells Burnham that they're trying to their next thing. They lured them there in hopes of getting Burnham because it's going to take over her body at this point using the nanites. And there was this whole struggle for it, and it really made me think of the replicators from Star Trek, or not Star Trek, from Stargate. If anybody's watched that, that's really what it made me think of. The special effects and everything about it just really reminded me of that. Spock ends up saving the day, and then they realize now that Control is gunning for Burnham. She's at the center of this somehow, and not that this is really too much of a surprise to anybody who's been watching so far, but that's what it is. As the episode ends, everyone's back on board Discovery, and they find out that they're being surrounded by Section 31 ships. Control, of course, commands all of Section 31 at this point, and they're coming. It's coming for the sphere data that is only contained to Discovery. Without anything they can really do, they can jump, they can try to get away, but Section 31 is always going to catch up with them. Why they didn't decide to just go ahead and use the spore drive and get really far away from there, I don't know. But Burnham suggests that they blow up the ship. And Pike takes this under consideration and then tells them to start preparing for evacuation because they're going to blow the ship. Therefore, all of the sphere data will never be able to go anywhere other than this ship because it's contained to that. They can't destroy it themselves, but they can contain the ship. And that's pretty much how you end the episode. Now, I do believe that next week is the season finale. I think it's episode 13. The trailer for it looked really interesting. I'm kind of sad that the season is kind of coming to a close. I really liked all the stuff in this episode, especially with Pike, and I really wish that CBS All Access would just go full stream ahead with a Pike-centered series. I think it would be amazing. You could keep Spock on there, just kind of do the years leading up to when Kirk takes over the Enterprise. I think that would be really interesting. But anyways, I'm just going to leave this one here, and we'll see you guys back here next week for the finale recap. Have a good one.